President Trump announcing he is suspending all funding going to the World Health Organization. He says the U.S. will now review how they have handled this outbreak.
Our countries are now experiencing, you look all over the world, tremendous death and economic devastation because those tasked with protecting us by being truthful and transparent failed to do so.
By the way, the U.S. is the World Health Organization's largest source of funding. This all coming as COVID-19 cases continue to rise here in the Carolinas. In North Carolina, there are now over 5,100 cases, and in South Carolina, there are more than 3,500 cases. And some surprising news from Mecklenburg County yesterday. Health officials now predicting we will not hit our peak until early June. Now, full transparency, folks, if that sounds a lot different than what you've been hearing from us, that is because it is. We've been using prediction models like the one you see right here for the last several weeks. This is from the University of Washington, same one that the White House uses, by the way, which is saying North Carolina's going to peak sometime this week. They've been saying that for a couple of weeks. But now, Mecklenburg County using something totally different. This model. They're using a tool created by the University of Pennsylvania. Now, it allows officials to use local information about our hospitals and how well we've been social distancing to come up with their projection. That's where you see the June 8th coming from. It's the yellow line right there. We know it's complicated, but we felt like we needed to walk you through this morning because a lot of us have had questions about why the change. Well, this is the reason behind it. Mecklenburg County leaders say this is a more accurate description of what's going to happen here in Charlotte. So, without further ado, Wake Up Charlotte's Richard Devane now live for us this morning. And Richard, the big concern is still whether it happens this week or whether it happens June 8th, is that we could see a spike in cases here that's going to put a major strain on hospitals.
That's absolutely correct, Ben. Good morning to you. Good Wednesday morning, everyone. Yeah, there could be a major strain on hospitals and other resources as we hit that peak. But regardless if it's this week or in June, the most important thing that leaders are telling us, county leaders are saying, is that we continue to practice social distancing.
This will not end quickly.
Previously, Mecklenburg County used the same model used by the White House by the University of Washington to predict the peak of coronavirus cases, but that model mainly focused on state numbers. So now new projections for the county based on a tool developed by the University of Pennsylvania shows social distancing is slowly working, but it also projects our new local peak of COVID-19 cases is June 8th. So will a stay-at-home order be extended?
We know that that's not realistic, but we have to look at the most effective way to start loosening the restrictions.
County leaders say that has to be done responsibly, or we could see another spike.
You know, one of the things that we'd hate to see happen is that we lift restrictions, we see a spike, and we have to put them back in place.
Leaders say a field hospital will be built at the Charlotte Convention Center if Atrium and Novant Hospitals still think one's needed. However, the Charlotte Regional Visitors Authority says that they're still in the discussion phase with county leaders. But perhaps the most troubling is the unknown. Health Director Gibby Harris says anywhere from 25 to 65% of our community could have the virus and not even know it.
We're continuing to have to make decisions with insufficient data, and that's always troubling.
Another thing that Harris told us was that basically 75% of the folks who have tested positive for COVID-19 in Mecklenburg County are between the ages of 20 to 59. We're in Charlotte. Richard Devane for Wake Up Charlotte.
Interesting numbers there for sure. All right, Richard, thank you. Time now 5:06, turning to some other big developments in the COVID-19 outbreak. Right now, at least 30 nursing homes in North Carolina are dealing with this outbreak.
Billie Jean Shaw, a nursing home out of Rowan County, has confirmed more than 75 positive cases of COVID-19. The Citadel Salisbury says one person tested positive last week, but many others show symptoms and were tested as well. The facility says they are working closely with the Department of Health to best manage this situation.
Another CMPD officer has tested positive for COVID-19, meaning 3 officers now have the virus. At least 20 others are in quarantine because of potential exposure. Several organizations calling for officers to receive hazard pay. Charlotte Mayor Vi Lyles hasn't taken a stance on that issue. Relief on the way for hundreds of American Airlines employees in Charlotte. The airline getting $5.8 billion from the government. The money will ensure employees aren't furloughed through at least September 30th. It also ensures workers' hourly rates won't be cut. Right now, stimulus checks are rolling in for millions of Americans. About 80 million people expected to receive their payments today. If the IRS does not have your bank account information, they will send the checks in the mail. Those could take up to 5 months.
Today was supposed to be the deadline to file your taxes, but you have a little more time because of COVID-19. Wake Up Charlotte's Rachel Lumberg explains the changes.
We know traditionally tax day is today, but this year everything's looking a lot different, including when tax day is. The deadline has been delayed, and that's so Americans do not have to panic, don't have to worry, because we know finances are tight right now. So the federal government has delayed when your federal income tax returns are due. They've issued this 90-day extension, no penalties, no interest charges. The federal income tax deadline is now July 15th instead of traditionally April 15th. As for your state income tax, when that is due, a lot of states are doing it differently. I checked, North and South Carolina are falling in line with when your federal taxes are due. Again, that is July 15th for your state taxes as well. If you want to go ahead and file and you haven't already, you do have some options still, even though we know a lot of that in-person contact and help isn't available right now. You can still explore some online options. However, it's a little bit difficult, a little bit harder to do so. The IRS live telephone assistance is unavailable. They've said that they will reopen that and get back to normal operations as soon as possible. They did say that 90.6 million people have already filed their federal returns. They did that by late March. 87 million returns have already been processed. Let us know if you filed your taxes or not, if you're choosing to wait because of this delay with no penalty and no interest. Text us 704-329-3600.
All right, Rachel.